Hi, everyone. My name is Amanda Hudson, and I am a Senior Family Support Coordinator at Racker here in Cortland with the Family Resource Program. I graduated from SUNY Cortland quite a while ago at this point, and I've been here at Racker for about 13 years. And one of the things that we do here is we have a sensory kind of autism lending library where families can try out specific items that might benefit their family member. So we have all kinds of different items for families to try, and we have a sample sensory space here as well. So what I'll be talking about today is kind of how to create a more budget friendly or space saving sensory space in any type of environment, whether it be a smaller home or your dorm or whatever it might be. There's all kinds of ways that we can make the environments that we're in more calming and kind of sensory friendly for anybody. So let's share my screen here. Okay. So we often hear about the five senses, vision, smell, taste, hearing, and touch. We have two more that we don't talk about as much, and that's your vestibular sense, which is your sense of balance, and proprioception, which is kind of your sense of body awareness and kind of where you are in space. And so a good sensory environment, good sensory space is going to kind of meet the checklist for all seven senses. So it's going to be pleasing to all of them. So having a sensory space in your home or environment can give people control over their environment and what feels good. It's not going to be the same for everybody. Some people like a lot of deep pressure. Some people don't. Some people like certain smells and lights. Other people don't. So it's really about finding what works for the person and for the environment. It can help with calming or transitions. Sometimes people have a difficult time switching from one activity to the next, especially if it's from an activity that they enjoy doing. And so having a nice calming sensory environment can sometimes help with that transition and kind of give like a buffer in between activities. It can improve focus and sensory development. And again, that proprioceptive sense, so increasing one's body awareness because you're getting that feedback, you're getting that input from the different activities and objects in the sensory environment. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. So one of the areas we want to look at in a sensory environment and space is the lighting. So there's all kinds of different ways we can do this. You've got Christmas tree lights or twinkle lights. And what's nice about those is you can kind of customize them to the person's interest or to your own interests. So if the person really likes the beach and the ocean, you can find twinkle lights or Christmas lights that have, palm trees on them or dolphins or are certain colors if they like a certain color scheme. So they have them in all different colors. You can find them at Amazon. Sometimes you can find them at the Dollar Tree, Target, Walmart. They're pretty easy to find, especially in the next couple months. You're going to be seeing them all over the place. Lava lamps are pretty fun. These, again, are going to vary in price, but you can find a decent one for, $15 to $20 on Amazon. And I would recommend, again, it's knowing the person. So if you're making an environment for yourself, that's fine. If you're making it for a specific individual, keep in mind their safety needs because lava lamps can get quite hot and they can break. So, just make sure that it makes sense for the person. You'll hear me talk about that kind of throughout the session today. Different lights and sound machines. So that's the picture here that's got the projection on the wall. That's an example of a light and sound machine. These are going to vary in how fancy they are and the cost of them. But again, you can find them anywhere. Amazon, Walmart, Target, any kind of different stores. I think even sometimes like Kohl's or Macy's will sell them. You'll often see them marketed towards children. because parents often will use sound machines as like white noise machines to help babies sleep, but that's just kind of how they're marketed. You can use them wherever. This particular one that I have the picture of here will project kind of like an ocean water picture onto the wall, and it has different types of ocean noises with it. But they have ones that do stars, they have, you know, constellations, and you'll find them up into quite expensive, you know, hundreds of dollars, or you can find them for $15, $20, $30, depending on how many features you want it to have. Glow sticks are another fun one. You can get them in packs. Obviously, they're not going to last particularly long time, but they're fun to play with and to use, especially in a dark, quiet environment. But again, keep in mind safety. Glow sticks will break. So if you are working with somebody who will put objects in their mouth, glow sticks might not be the safest option. Battery powered candles can create a nice, soothing, calm environment. And if we want to go on the higher end of price, you can find tactile wall panels. That's where this kind of picture down here in the corner is with the big X. Those will run you over $1,000, anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 to upwards of several $1,000s, depending on how big you want your wall space to go. So we'll kind of run, you know, some all different budgets today. So there are quite expensive lighting options, and then there are, you know, items that you can find at the Dollar Tree. It's whatever makes the space soothing and safe for the individual that you're creating the environment for, or for yourself. Scents. So we're kind of here focusing on our sense of smell. You can buy diffusers and essential oils. Many people swear by essential oils. It's going to be a personal preference. Calming ones that you see are often lavender, chamomile, vanilla, peppermint, and again, nothing. Sometimes people, particularly with heightened sensory responses to things, will not want any kind of a smell, an artificial type smell. So keep that in mind. A great way to test this out is you can go out and buy different types of sprays or an oil diffuser, and these are going to vary anywhere from, you can see smaller ones for $10, and again, you can get them at any major store, or you can get up into the, you know, I think there's like Young Living and all of the different types of oils, and you can spend $100 on an oil diffuser if you want. But a good way to check is if you're not sure if you like a scent or if the person that you're making this environment for will like a smell, you can put just a little bit on a cotton ball and kind of put it up somewhere out of reach. And that's a good way to kind of test out if a certain oil or scent is going to work in an environment without going out and buying the diffuser and all of the other oils and stuff that can go along with it. So the little stuffed bunny you can buy. I've seen them at Marshall's and TJ Maxx. You can just get everything on Amazon. But these are little stuffed animals. They often have like rice or they're filled, they're weighted often. And a lot of them have kind of packets, or they're infused with certain scents. And sometimes you can heat them up in the microwave, and they can be really warm and soothing, and they smell good for people as well. They're going to vary in price, but usually under $10, $10 to $15, I would say, depending on the brand and how big the animal is that you get, and where, you know, what store you're buying it from, obviously. But it's a nice option for some folks as well, and it's not going to be constantly scenting up the space. It's really going to smell mostly when you heat it up. So as we're getting into kind of our sense of taste, and one of the big things that we see is people often will put objects in their mouth to get that chewing sensation, get the pressure kind of in the jaw. So one of the things we use often here is something called Chewlery. There's all kinds of different brands for it, but really the chewing on one of these safer objects helps redirect the person from chewing on their clothing or putting hands in their mouth or finding non-food objects or unsafe objects. One of the nice things with jewelry is there's all kinds of different types out there. There are necklaces, there are ones with shark teeth and unicorns and rainbows and donuts, and there are ones that vibrate, like this one up here with the blue, pink, and yellow. That's one that you can hold on to and it actually will vibrate in the mouth as well, which is a different sensation for folks. There's ones with ridges and different kinds of textures. There's ones that go on the bracelet. There are ones made of cloth. Like it runs the gamut. Really, you can find one that works for the person's needs. It goes without saying, though, again, safety first. So there are going to be some, if you're working with a smaller child, you know, there's going to be some that are safer, but you might want to be careful of necklaces with a smaller person or somebody who, you know, you just want to watch people when they're putting anything in their mouth. And for people who have bigger jaws or are adults, you really want to make sure that the item that you're using is kind of that sturdy, like rubber, silicone. You don't want anything that's going to break off while somebody's putting it in their mouth. So we buy these often. You can find some on Amazon. There's also specialty retailers like Arc Therapeutic and funandfunction.com. Those have a lot of specialty sensory items, mostly specifically kind of marketed towards those with sensory processing disorder or autism spectrum disorders. But I mean, they'll work for just about anybody that has this need and wants to try these out. So price-wise, they're going to vary. Usually you find them in a pack. So you might get a 2-pack or a 10-pack. You know, it's really going to depend, but the price is really going to vary with depending on what type of jewelry you are buying and how many of them you are buying. If you're buying a single one, it's usually going to be maybe more expensive, but it'll probably be a little sturdier. If you're buying a multi-pack of them, it's probably going to be like one of these Lego necklaces down at the bottom where they'll come in different colors, but they might last you a little longer. Sound. So in this, we're looking at ways to cancel out sound and ways to find sounds that are soothing. So sometimes folks with kind of heightened responses to different stimuli are going to want to seek to avoid the loud noises. So we find noise canceling headphones. These will vary in price from $20 to $30 up into, if you get like Bose, B-O-S-E, they can be, you know, a couple $100, depending on your budget and the person's needs. Some people, a lot of times we use the ones that go over the ears, such as the one pictured here, but some people will tolerate the earbuds that will go in your ear. Some people won't. Depends on, again, who you're making it for. And if you're making a space for yourself, it's going to be a personal preference. If you don't mind the kind that go in your ear and kind of cancel out some outside noise versus the kind that go over your ear. The big thing is that they are comfortable and that they fit the person, and that they do what you want them to do, which is typically kind of block out the exterior noise. Some of them, a lot of them nowadays come with Bluetooth connectivity. So you can, they don't have the wires and the cords and everything, so you can put them on your ears and play a soothing radio station or any kind of soothing music that you or the person likes. We also have Bluetooth speakers, which are nice. You can set them out of the way and just kind of play whatever music is comforting, or there's all kinds of different free apps out there that play white noise or nature sounds or, you know, whatever's going to work to make it a calming environment. The Shush picture up here is a white noise machine. It's portable, so it can go in the car with somebody. So if it's somebody that's maybe going to a doctor's appointment or has a tough time riding in the car, sometimes the portable sound machine can help soothing because it's canceling out some of the extra noise that's going on. It customizes, it has a couple different types of white noise. So there's like an ocean sound, there's a fan sound, there's a dryer sound. And it's rechargeable with a USB, which is nice. So it's battery operated. And then that's going to run about $15 or so, depending. It's marketed at often towards children, towards again babies. But it's just your basic white noise machine, and it's I like it personally. We use it here because it's portable, and you can charge it and then just take it and it's small. It's about this big. The one on the bottom there with the phone is called a hatch system. They have different versions out there, and some of them have different features, so they're going to vary in price. The basic one is around $60, and they go up to $100 to $150 depending on which version of the hatch you get. It's basically a sound machine, alarm, everything kind of all in one. So you can have it set so it'll have different lights that go on. You can customize the sound as well. So people will use it as a night light or as part of the kind of light sound machines in a sensory space. You can see this one down here. This is a newer model. It's got the time on it as well. People will use them as visual timers. They'll use them as okay to wake alarms because you can have it set so that when it's time to wake up, the light will turn green, and you can make it so that it has like birds chirping and stuff like that. So if you have somebody who wakes up often, and especially this time of year when it starts getting darker early in the morning, and so you can't say, you know, stay in bed until it's daylight or whatever, these will kind of help people to recognize when it is actually okay to get up and get out of bed versus when they should maybe stay in their room quiet when it's still time to rest. So we use these often as visual timers and as light and sound machines. It's an app on your phone as well to control it, which is nice. So you just download the app and you can customize the programs. And again, they're going to vary in price. You can get them at the Hatch website. You can get them on Amazon. I think they're gaining in popularity. I've also seen a new one that's a wake to rise alarm clock that they just made out. So you can find them just about any place these days. The big thing with sound is that it's just, you want to have something that's going to make sense for that person. So you want to have it so that you can kind of cancel out extra noise with something that is soothing and pleasurable to them. Or if they need total silence, that you get a really good pair of noise canceling headphones. And if that's the case, we've actually had good luck using like construction set headphones because they don't necessarily, if the person isn't interested in listening to music, they just really want the noise canceling feature, then you don't need it to have Bluetooth connectivity or anything like that. You're looking for work headphones that somebody might use when they're mowing the lawn or using a jackhammer or something like that. So they're going to have a high decibel kind of cancellation to them. So, and for kids as well, you can find ones that are almost like little cloth headbands, and so they're a little more comfortable for certain folks with if maybe this kind that's featured isn't super comfortable for them. So, and they kind of just more wrap the head as well. So when we're talking about our sensory space, one of the things that we often will include is some kind of a manipulative or sensory bin to kind of just be entertaining, but also it's soothing to feel a lot of these textures and objects that are in there. Usually you can find them, you can buy them, you know, on Amazon and everything else. You can find them. You're going to spend more money to make them or to purchase them though, and we can really make them ourselves with a lot of household objects. What I like about sensory bins is you can really customize them to your own interest. You can do them seasonally, you can do them by holiday, you can do them by interest. You know, the possibilities are endless. So you need some kind of a bin of some kind. The sizes are going to vary. Something that's going to contain them. So often we use Rubbermaid or Tupperware bins. That's the most common, just something that can be also sealed because these can get messy. Some kind of a filler. So rice, feathers, beads, different buttons, dry pasta, Easter, like basket grass, we use a lot, rubber bands, anything, seashells that you can like buy bulk seashells, really anything that is going to be, in this case, dry. So the nice thing with these two is, again, we'll kind of get to some like custom ones that you can do. Different objects that can go into the bin as well. So toys, maybe some small hand shovels, seasonal themed items. If you're doing, you can do letters and numbers, foam letters and numbers, magnets, that kind of stuff. So we've, I've done them with like green dyed rice, and then different buttons and like these fabric flowers that we found at the dollar store, and shovels. And you can do like a spring theme. You could do it with this time of year. We've done them with dried corn and I think there's pictures here, dried corn and little pom-pom balls for pumpkins. And we've done shovels and different things so that it's kind of like a Halloween theme. So you can really just kind of throw anything in there. With these, as it says, safety first. So if you're working with somebody that does have a tendency to put non-food items in their mouth, these are going to be all small objects. So if you're doing this for a small child or for somebody that does put objects in their mouth, that you have to be supervised while doing this. One of the things we do where it says make it mobile is we'll make a smaller one. So we'll use like a Rubbermaid, like a sandwich bin almost, and we can make a small one. And we've again had people take it in the vehicle. They can take it to the park. The big thing with that is though, just again, kind of common sense. If it's if you're going with someone where it might get thrown, because if it's filled with rice and feathers and all kinds of stuff, it's just going to make a big mess. But if it's somebody that just more maybe has anxiety going to the doctor, and so it's something just to kind of be soothing and comforting while they sit in the waiting room or something like that, then we've done that as well. Do-it-yourself stress balls. These are really fun to make kind of on your own or as a group activity, and you can make quite a bit of them. So you need water beads. You can buy these in bulk. They will last you a long time. I think I got a pack on Amazon for like $6, and it was a decent sized pack. They'll last you a long time. So you kind of will set the water beads aside in water and let them fill up a little bit. A funnel is helpful. Otherwise, it's going to be, it's not impossible to do without a funnel, but it is very messy to do without a funnel, and you will have water beads all over your space. And then balloons. And again, you can customize these. You can make them somebody's favorite color. If you do, this one is done with a clear balloon and multicolored water beads. And basically you let the water beads fill up for a little bit. They don't have to be their full size just yet, but just so that they're not totally dry. And you funnel them into the balloon and you tie the balloon. I would not overly pack the balloon or it will pop. But really you just kind of put enough in there, seal the balloon up, and then as they expand a little bit more, you'll have a very squishy sensory ball. You can find balls like this at the drugstore, at any kind of major store. I've even seen them at the grocery store. But you're going to spend, $5 to $7 on those. Whereas this, you can kind of make it a fun activity and make them yourself. And you can kind of make them as needed, as you need more, because you buy the balloons and the water beads, but they're going to last you a long time. Different objects to go in your space. So a big thing we see now is sequined pillows and animals. Again, anything that kind of, you'll see, the person wrote hi in that one. So that kind of being able to pet and just play with the sequins and go up and down is soothing for a lot of people. So these are going to vary in price. I've seen them at Pottery Barn for, over $40. I've also seen them at, I think, Walgreens here where I live. They had little sequined animals. And I think they were like $7. You'll see them at Five Below. You can find them at Target. Really, they're pretty common right now. Different types of beads. Some people find it soothing to put beads on string and just kind of make different activities with that. Koosh balls, any kind of manipulative, and those you're going to find all over the place. Dry brushes, you can find at specialty retailers, or we bought a pack of them, I think for $20 on Amazon, and there was like 10 of them in the pack. And some people find dry brushing very soothing. It's something that it's not necessarily related to a sensory space. I've seen people talk about dry brushing just as kind of a general activity that they do for their health, but a lot of folks find it soothing, and it's just you kind of rub the brush in a certain direction on the skin. A lot of people like it on their arms, or their back, their legs, and you just kind of brush the body. And they're usually smaller brushes. One thing that we recommend is keeping any smaller items in different storage bins and then bringing them out, because people get bored with the same thing all the time, and it won't have the same soothing effect if they're just doing it all the time. Whereas even if you have the same general items, but you switch them out every couple of weeks, or when you or the person you're making the space for are getting kind of bored, you can bring out a seasonal item. So you can kind of rotate things. You can have different types of koosh balls or manipulatives or stress balls or sequined items, and just kind of switch them out every so often. Light and sound toys, again, it's going to be a personal preference for the individual. These you can find all over the place. You might see some of them marketed more towards babies or children, but really anything that lights up or makes noise that the person enjoys. This time of year, I've seen them actually in grocery stores where they're like wands, and you can press the button and it'll spin around like a pumpkin or something. And I've seen those. You can often get them on clearance, especially, the day after Halloween, you can stock up on them, or the day after, Christmas or Easter, you'll see them seasonally. And they're just fun. And a lot of people will kind of like to put them up close. They don't usually make a ton of noise, but they're very fun to play with in the dark, in a darker space. And then that's called a butterfly chair. It's a foldable chair, so it's nice if you're looking for space saving, because you can fold it up and tuck it away, and you can bring it out, you can move it around. That one in particular is from Walmart, I want to say. I think it's around $40, but they're going to vary. You can find them at Pottery Barn, teen and kids. You can find them at Walmart. You can find them on Amazon. So the cost is going to be, right up into the over $100 to $20 to $40 if you want something like that. We liked this one because it's also got the soft kind of fur on it as well. So it kind of has that extra kind of tactile sensation in addition to being a comfy place to sit. So one of the things about a good sensory space is that it should be kind of soothing and comforting and kind of cozy. And there's lots of ways that we can make this work. One of the things that we hear is, to make a good sensory space, people feel like they need a lot of space to do that. And so it can be a deterrent if they feel like they don't have the room for some of these objects, which we'll get to in a second. But really what we'll talk about is some ways to kind of make an environment work, even if it's something that you can pick up easily. So you can kind of get it set up quick and then pick it up when you don't want it out all the time. So on the more cost-effective end, you can have a simple play tent with some blankets, a flashlight, different stuffed animals, your light and sound machines kind of in there. The play tent that we have here, we found on Amazon for $20. It's blue, so it's nice and dark and kind of cool colors on the inside. And it came with a flashlight, so that was fun. You can do a blow-up kiddie pool. I would recommend a blow-up one versus the plastic ones because, again, you want something that you can take down if you don't want it up all the time. And a blow-up one is going to be more comfortable. So a blow-up kiddie pool with pillows, blankets, stuffed animals, anything soft and comforting. You can, for a crash pad, what some people like to do, it's something you can kind of run and jump on. You can fill an old duvet for your comforter up with old pillows, stuffed animals, towels, anything soft. You can cram them all in there, zip the duvet up, and you've made yourself a crash pad. And then when the person is done kind of getting that need to jump and to crash and kind of they're feeling better, you can take everything out, fold it up, put it away, and your crash pad is gone. Versus if you buy a crash pad, they're very big and you really need the space for them. And they're kind of like, once they're set up, it can be difficult to then take them down and store them. They're also going to run you several $100s, probably depending on the size that you're getting. So it's a little easier to kind of make your own, and then you can put it away when you're done with it and get it out when you need it. And then play tunnels. Melissa and Doug makes a couple nice ones. They're about $25. But you can find them all over the place, and they're just fun to play with. And the nice thing about them is they fold up. So you can get them out, the person can crawl through them. You can kind of make an obstacle course there because they're enclosed. They can feel nice and kind of comforting to somebody, but then when they're done for the day, you just fold them up like an accordion. They Velcro, and you can stick them anywhere, under a couch, in a closet. They just fold up really flat, which is nice. On the more expensive end and kind of more the specialty end, so not DIY, you have a Yogi Bow or a Yogi Bow Max. The blue guy down there is called a Huggy Bow. Yogi Bows are like zero pressure bean bags. They're going to vary in price. They can run $150 to $200 or more, depending on the size that you want. Some people get like almost like Yogi Bow couches, but again, there's no way to fold them up. That is the size that they are, and that is where they're going to be. You can't really put them away when you're done with them, unless you have the space to store them. The Huggy Bow down there, the blue one, has Velcro on their arms there, so you can wrap it around the person and kind of get that deep pressure as well, which is why people like the Yogi Bow or a beanbag quite a bit. We do have one here that's pretty popular, but yeah, they're gonna run you a little bit more. And we have a big pink one. Her name's Frankie, and she takes up a large corner of my office. So there's no way to put her when she's not in use. She's just there. You can, as I mentioned, you can make your own crash pad or you can buy one, but they're going to run you a couple $100s most likely. And again, there's no place to store them. So if you have the space to set up a sensory room, they're great. People run and they jump in them, and they're safe to kind of get that energy and that need out, but you can't really put them away as easily. And then a Huggle Pod, that's that turquoise kind of hanging tent thing that you're looking at there. That's roughly $200, depending on the size and the type. You also can either hang them from the ceiling if you've got the strength there, or you can buy rods that they'll hang on, stands, but that's going to be an additional cost. Hudson is where we typically will find Huggle Pods, but they are quite popular because a lot of folks with sensory needs like to swing as well, and the Huggle Pod kind of meets that. You can hang and swing on it as well as being enclosed and well, so you have kind of multiple kind of activities going on at the same time to help soothe someone. So it's enclosed, it's soft, it's comforting, and it kind of will like wrap around them a little bit depending on the type, but they're also swinging at the same time. But you need the space to either have a stand with a swinging tent or have the ability to have one hanging from your ceiling. So that's not going to work for everybody. Other items that you can have in your space are calming jars. We do these a lot because they're fun to make. So depending on who you're thinking of this space for, you can kind of do this as an activity. You can make them wet or dry. So for a wet one, you need a clear plastic water bottle of some kind. Voss makes the kind that you see here in the pictures. Those are Voss bottles. They're very popular for calming jars because of just the way they look. They're just kind of cool looking, and they're really sturdy. A lot of times though, be careful because they have glass ones. And I personally, I have a glass one on my desk, but you know, it's got to make sense for the person that you're making it for. So if we're making it, generally it's better to have a plastic one, I would say. But you need some kind of clear plastic water bottle, clear glue or soap. You can also do the sparkle glue as well if you are feeling inclined. Food coloring, and then different items that you want to put in there. So you can do glitter, water beads, small objects. So again, you can custom make these for any kind of theme. We've done mermaid ones where we had kind of teal, like turquoise and purple, and we found I think silver and blue glitter, and I think I found them at the dollar store, just like mermaid, like sequins kind of. They had like different tails and pretty colors, and we just did some of those. We put some seashells in there, some like little plastic fish that we found at the dollar store, and we put them in there, and it was really cool. So you can also, there's not really a wrong way to do these. The more glue you use, the more viscous and slow the objects are going to be to settle. So you can just I would recommend kind of trying it out and seeing what works and what you like. And then when you're satisfied with it, you're probably going to want to glue the top on. That's not something, especially if you add glitter and everything else and sparkles and sequins, you don't want that top coming off. So I would super glue or hot glue the top on once you're satisfied with the rate that everything's settling. I also recommend with the white ones that you use warm water, not hot, but warm water. It's going to help the glue dissolve better. Otherwise, you're going to be stirring it for a long time. And you can see here the ones, the rainbow one is done with different water beads and food coloring. And that one probably has oil in it, which is another thing you can add. The other one with the sparkles is going to be your basic glitter, food coloring, and water and glue. And the one over on the far end is done with water beads. One thing I would recommend with the water beads is probably make sure that they are fully absorbed before you put them in. I made that mistake when I was doing one of these with my daughter, and the water beads expanded so much in the bottle that there was no settling or moving around. It was just this giant bottle filled with water beads, and it didn't look very good. So make sure they are fully expanded before you put them in your calling jar. You can also do these dry, kind of like the DIY sensory bin. You can actually recycle some of the items. If you're finishing up with a sensory bin and you're not quite sure what to do with some of those objects, you can transfer them into some of these calming jars. And you can do a clear plastic water bottle. Again, you can do dry rice, lentils, small beads, anything to kind of fill the majority of the space, and then stick some toys, random toys and objects in there. One of the things people like to do with these is kind of do them as I Spies. So you can put different kind of objects in there and then shake it and see if you can find, can you find the pig in the farm themed one, and they can kind of look for different objects in there. And it just kind of helps focus the mind. We also use these as timers. So kind of, I've heard people use them. They're not, it's like a transitional object, so to speak. So we will say, we're going to take some time and watch all of the beads and not everything settle in the calming jar before we move on to our next activity. And it's just kind of a way to reset. We've also used them, as I said, as a visual timer. So we're going to hang out until all of the glitter has settled in our sensory jar before we switch to the next activity. So these are really fun to do and custom. And all of these items you can find at the dollar store, or of course, pretty much any retailer. You can also buy these pre-made. If you Google calming jars, you're going to find all kinds of websites and Pinterest pages and everything devoted to these, because there are just so many different ways to customize them. Or you can buy them pre-made, but on like Etsy. But I think we bought one a while ago here, and it was want to say $20 on Amazon, and it was a good sized one, but I could have made the same thing myself here with items from the dollar store and probably made many more of them at the same time. So, and these are also just a fun activity to do with other people. We did them a lot when we were quarantining and kind of socially isolating kind of earlier in the COVID pandemic. Just when we were home, we would find some water bottles and different objects and different ways to make wet and dry calming jars just for something different to do. Other things to consider in your sensory space: a mini trampoline, a rocking chair, yoga balls, wobble chairs, which is that red stool here. All of these are great ways to kind of work with somebody's kind of proprioceptive skills, kind of get some energy out as we're coming into the colder winter months and people can't get outside as much. Any way to kind of get out excess energy and that just that physical need is a good idea here. So again, customize it to the space. Yoga balls are great, and mini trampolines are great because you can bounce on them and jump on them, but they're going to vary. Yoga balls you'd have to blow up and then put away. You can't really store them super easily. Mini trampolines, sometimes they fold up, and there are ways to store them. It really depends on the type that you get. And then the little red stool there, that's a wobbled stool, so you can sit on it and you're constantly having to balance on it. It constantly moves around, so it's kind of, it's just fun for folks. They make them in adult sizes. This one that you're looking at is for a child. I think that one's from funandfunction.com. And they're not particularly big, so they're pretty easy to store. I recommend interlocking foam tiles if you want to kind of carve out a specific area to be a sensory, kind of a designated sensory space. You can do the interlocking floor tiles. They are easy to clean. They are soft, so you're not just on a hard surface. And you can find them all over. They make them all different colors. The one that we have here in my office has different shapes on it. You can find ones like this where they're just basic primary colors. You can find pastels. They even have some now, but they're going to be more expensive, that are almost designed to look like carpets. So they're kind of neutral beiges, and I forget which company makes them, but they're really designed to kind of seamlessly fit into a space. But you can find them all over the place, and they're going to vary in their cost. But I would say $20 is kind of going to get you a pack of them pretty easily. And again, you can find them Amazon, funandfunction.com, I think Target. You'll find them if you Google interlocking floor tiles. You'll find all different websites and different types and styles to kind of meet whatever your decorating and space saving needs are. But I definitely recommend them if you are kind of designating a specific space to be a sensory, like a corner. The one that we have here in my office is a 6x6 space, so it's not very big. And in that 6x6 space, we have the tiles to kind of carve it out. We have a Yogi Bow or a Huggy Bow and a Yogi Bow and a tent and lights. So we've crammed quite a bit in that one space. Because this is pre-recorded, I don't really have questions per se. You can reach me at Racker if there's anything that you do have questions about. Just amanda.h@racker.org. And I'm happy to discuss any other ways that you can kind of make your environment work. Really, when people hear and talk about sensory spaces, they often will assume that it's for people with autism spectrum disorder or sensory processing disorder. But I'm hoping, the kind of tips and tricks today really can be for anybody to make their space more soothing and comforting for them and for their needs. Everybody's, I think, a little more stressed these days than typical. And we're coming into the winter months here where we're all going to be inside a little bit more. So, any way that we can kind of take that space that we're in and make it work for us and for our sensory needs and make it soothing and comfortable is, really something we want to try to do. So thanks so much.